in documentaries, Elyse and I like to joke that if something totally unexpected doesn't happen through the course of filming, then you've got a problem.
It's like, exactly.
Because the best documentaries, I think, always end in a different place than you think that they will at the beginning.
5 jaar geleden werd politicus Anthony Weiner middelpunt van een sextingschandaal. In de documentaire Weiner krijgen we de mens achter dat schandaal te zien.
People are less likely to go to a cop with a tip if they think they're going to be frisked when they do it. This does not need a new government agency. This needs a change of policy at the top. Everybody deserves a second chance! All right, let's go!
The film opens with a Marshall McLuhan quote.
That's right.
The name of a man is a numbing blow from which he will never recover.
Yes.
So how about Kriegman? War man. Was that a blow?
This is the first question I've had about my name. This is interesting. I don't know. That's a really good question. I've actually never thought about it in that way. Most people don't actually know what Kriegman means. Unlike with somebody like Anthony Weiner, who had to, I think, suffer the puns and the various things around his name, I think, for his entire life.
Yeah, Weiner, sausage,
right.
Male sausage, right?
And he used to joke that he heard the last original Weiner joke in the 3rd grade. I mean, it's a big question. Had he not been named Weiner, would the scandal have been as large as it was?
Yeah. Talking about the scandal, maybe describe it for us.
As I guess many people in the U.S. know, but I don't know exactly how many people around the world are familiar with the story. But Anthony Weiner was a U.S. congressman from New York City who was a rising star in Congress until he got caught up in a sexting scandal when he accidentally tweeted an indecent photo of himself that he intended as a direct message to one woman who was not his wife, but he accidentally posted it publicly to his 40,000 Twitter followers. And so that became...
His erect Weiner in underpants or briefs, or how you call
it. Yeah. He denied it for a little while, but it became a very big scandal, and ultimately he admitted that it was his, and he resigned from Congress. And then 2 years later, he ran for mayor of New York City in an effort to get back into politics, and that is where the film really begins.
A photo of an anonymous man's bulging underwear
was tweeted from Congressman Weiner's account.
Today, I am announcing my resignation from Congress.
The punchline is true about me. I did the dumb thing, but I did a lot of good things too. Running for mayor was the straightest line to clean up the mess that I had made. This is Anthony Weiner call. Yes, I'm not Anthony Weiner, the one running for mayor.
Why do you think you deserve the second chance?
I didn't want to answer.
I'm giving you the answer.
I thought you were thinking about it. I thought you were trying to think.
No, I'm talking words.
What I'm going to try to talk about is the issues facing New York City.
Are more women going to come home?
Is Weiner a flasher, do you think? Or is he just silly?
This is one of the central questions, obviously, of the film, is trying to get at a little bit a sense of, how
but it's not really answered, is it?
I think that you do see him reflect. We do see him try to sort of acknowledge how he's come to terms with the things that he did. And I think you do get to see a certain amount of reflection about it. And he talks about, for example, how some of the same qualities that made him successful as a politician and that served him well in his career in politics as a public official were actually the very same qualities that maybe contributed to him making some of the mistakes in other areas of his life. Like, he talks about politicians being wired in a certain way to need attention, right? And I mean, it's a very open acknowledgement of a kind of, narcissistic element to political life and to his own, life as a politician. And he recognizes that worked well for him in politics, or thriving in a world of transactional and superficial relationships. That's another thing he mentions, right? That's a quality it's a skill actually that is incredibly, that you get rewarded for as a politician, especially in the United States. But ultimately, he acknowledges that maybe that, led him to engage in some of these online relationships in ways that were problematic. And he actually talks about it like he was playing a video game. He wasn't really taking stock fully of the real consequences and the sort of the emotional reality of what he was doing.
I can understand that happening once, but it happened to him twice.
It's not easy to understand, the psychology of him, or of any human being. But he definitely represents, there's a kind of sort of classic, sort of tragic element to him that he is on one hand incredibly insightful and intelligent, as you say, incredibly media savvy, and then at the same time very blind. And he has these qualities in himself that seem totally contradictory in that way, and it's, I think, fascinating.
It sounds stupid to say this, but yeah, these are people, you're friends with, you're in the, you're like pen pals with. And it was connecting on such a superficial level. It was almost as if, I was, playing a video game, people would reach out to me and we'd start just chatting and then, sending emails back and forth, or Facebook, whatever, or something that goes in a different direction. So it says, "You're amazing," and sends me a naked picture and I respond to it.
Do you have a moral standpoint on what he did?
No, I mean, I think,
You do.
Well, part
something.
Part of the point of the film is to not take a stance in that way. I mean, part of what we're trying to do with the film is to, take this story and this person who had been judged very harshly, and very completely, and to present him as more complicated than you might think from what you read about in the headlines and the tabloids. So I don't know that it boils down very easily to one judgment.
Your judgment is the film.
That's right.
Because it's all in the film.
Yeah, and part of what's gratifying about the reaction that we've gotten to the film is that the range of responses is so broad, and you have some people who feel that their preconceptions were reinforced by the film, and other people who feel that, who were just totally astonished by what they see in the film because it's completely unlike what they expected or what they thought going in from what they read about in the headlines or seen in the news. And that for us is part of the point, is to do our best to draw a complex portrait of someone who ultimately is a human being.
I just want to look at the questions and talk to you about how you want to answer those. So the answer to were people in the campaign other than Huma aware? No. Then had there been multiple online exchanges with multiple people, or was it just this one?
This was the last guy's template to put in his information.
Can I just say multiple people, or is it just this one?
I think you've got to, there was more than one, so I think we've got to answer the question.
Okay.
Is there a future in politics for him, do you think?
He has said that he sort of acknowledges that his political career is probably over at this point. He had his second chance. It's hard to ask for a third. But, he has these incredible talents, these political gifts, and I think that, one of the interesting things about our politics in the US right now, and maybe this is true around the world as well, is a lot of the conventional rules don't seem to apply anymore.
And the spectacle thing of politics is embodied now by a Mr. Trump?
Yes, it is. So, as I was saying, it definitely is a hope of ours that the film speaks to a larger story than just, Anthony and his campaign in New York City, but that you get to see, this larger phenomenon of how our politics and our media functions today, and how much it is driven by spectacle. And you see that play out very much, I think, in our current presidential campaign with the Donald Trump phenomenon.
Well, what would Trump have to do to end up a loser and with 5% of the vote, like
well, so
Weiner?
this is a question. I mean, one of the, obviously the thing about Donald Trump that has a lot of us scratching our heads is that he's broken all these rules and seems to have been rewarded for it instead of paying for it. We'll see. We'll see if there's a breaking point for him ultimately.
You would like that, right?
I would like that, yeah. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump.